Being able to control your lights using your voice and your smart assistant or assistants, no judgment, it's handy and quite frankly, it's fun. But what's the best option for your home office or other spaces? In this video, I'm going to explain what your options are, what's best to use where, and give you a couple of tips to avoid some of those rookie mistakes. So let's get the party started. So a lot of people's first venture into home automation of any type is lighting because it's the easiest, it's the cheapest, and it's a good starting point for a lot of us. So I'm going to talk about what your different options are for your different situations. We're going to talk about different brands, how you can control them. Everything that I talk about here is definitely going to work with your Google Smart Assistant, your Madam A Smart Assistant. I'm going to try really hard not to trigger everybody's assistants tonight. And most of them will also work with the Apple lady, I guess we'll go with. It's so hard not to trigger everybody's devices. They may or may not work with HomeKit because HomeKit's kind of in a weird zone anyway. But that's one of the big things that I want to get out of the way right now is that when you go to do this, when you go to try this, and you should try this, even if you just try this on one light just to see what it's like, it is a little addicting. I will warn you, you start with one and suddenly your house is filled with them. But, sorry, just lost that. So you're going to start with just one, but you're not going to need you're not going to need to buy a hub. Okay, so in the beginning when this was all starting, everybody's pushing really hard to get you to buy their hub. They were doing that to lock you into their ecosystem. The things I'm going to show you tonight are from different providers because different providers often, there's some overlap, but they also, some of them offer things that others don't. The good news is you can mix and match these however you like. The one caveat being that you will have to load, an app for each one onto your phone, but it's not going to take up that much space or that much time. And once you get it set up, you don't really care anymore about that part of it because you're probably going to use one of your voice assistants, your smart assistants, to work with it. Sound good? All right. So let's go ahead and get into this because this is a lot of fun. I should probably bring that up. Oh, actually, before I bring that up, for those of you who are new, who may have just found this through the wonders of the internet, my name is Kathleen. I'm here as your tech coach. Basically, my day job is tech and my hobby is tech, so that's why I'm here. I'm here to answer your questions, give you information, to save you time and money wherever I can. I'm certainly trying to save you frustration. Hey, Callie, I hope you're feeling better. All right, so here we go. We're going to talk some smart assistants. So, obviously, you can see I like lights, right? It's pretty obvious from my set. I like to play with these things. All things tech, absolutely. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, and a lot of people go down the wrong road sometimes because they kind of just reach out for the first thing that they find, or they see something that somebody else had and they go with it. So my recommendation for people when they're starting with this is if you're just looking to be able to turn your lights on and off with your voice or with your device, you're going to want to go with a smart plug, not a light bulb. And the reason for that is this is ubiquitous, right? You can use this anywhere, and this is going to have a very long lifespan. Longer than a light bulb. Now, yes, I will grant you, the LED bulbs do last longer, but the reality is, the bulb is always going to die before the plug ever will. So this is what they look like. They come in, different companies. They all pretty much look like this right now. This one has a button on the side. Okay, I don't know if you can actually tell that, but oh yeah, you can. Okay, some of them have it on the top, some of them have it on the front. It doesn't really matter. The nice thing about that is, I love technology, but it also at some point is going to go to sleep, be updated, whatever. So it is nice to have that option of the mechanical button to still be able to go and turn things on and off. That's why I tend to recommend that if you're going to do this, do it with a light that is either easily accessible or it's not the end of the world for you if you can't control it at one point in time, with your voice. because if you put this someplace, where it's hard to reach, then it's going to be hard to reach this mechanical button. So that's why, I always recommend at least keeping one light that you can do the old-fashioned way. So you can use these for anything. I mean, we're talking lights tonight because that's where most people start to play. Is it just me, or do these look like faces that are making the oh no face? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But you don't have to limit this to a light. Anything that plugs in, you can do this to. Now, I don't recommend doing this for computers in general. They're sensitive devices. You kind of want to go through the regular shutdown process with that. But you can do this for coffee makers, for toasters, if you can program your toaster. I mean, anything that you plug into the wall, you can use one of these for. Which actually, I think was just the question. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Possibly dumb question. There are no dumb questions. We've had that conversation. Can you turn any lamp into a smart lamp so long as it's plugged? Yes, so that's exactly it. You don't have to buy a special lamp, a special light. You don't have to do anything. You just go with one of these things. And by the way, I have all the links in the description. So let me just bring up, I'll show you what this looks like when you go to find it in the world. Yeah, what the heck, that's good. So I'm going to bring your question in so people can see. So Wyze, this happens to be the one that I've got in my hand here. You can buy a single one, right? Or you can buy two, or you can buy multiples. You can buy outlets. There's all kinds of combinations. It doesn't really matter which company you go with. They're all about the same. So it's a good way to start. I will say you might want to start off with the 2-pack. Even if you think you're only going to use one, because as soon as you start doing this, you start to find out how helpful it is. You're going to want to put it someplace else. But you could absolutely start off with just the one. That's totally fine. I see I've moved everything because I used my X keys for another show this week, and now it's not in its usual spot. You're not restricted to Wyze. Wemo's got these, Kasa's got these. So basically, if you go and search for smart plugs, you're going to find a bunch of them. The trick is to make sure that you find something, like I said, that does not require a hub, because hubs were a bad idea from the beginning, so they're gone, or going away. So you're going to want to make sure that it works with your smart device. The odds are very good that it will, but you just do want to double check in the description to make sure, because there's always going to be that one time that you make the wrong choice because, that company, for whatever reason, didn't want to pay the licensing to work with the other ones. So it's really that simple, right? I mean, it plugs into your wall. They've gotten much smaller than they used to be. The first ones that I used were probably about yay big. I mean, they really covered up most of the plug. You really couldn't put two in. You can totally put two in with these, and it works totally fine. And like I said, you can use it for any device that you've got that you can plug into the wall. Just maybe not your super sensitive electronics. That would be the one thing. They are, yeah, right there. Okay, so yes, Callie, we're going to walk into that kind of question, so I'll come back to that in a second. But it's, it really is as easy as you plug it in. There's instructions in the box. It tells you, what app to download. And you really only need to download it once, which is kind of cool. You download it just to connect it to your internet. So let's talk a little bit about that process, and then we'll get into more of the devices. The process in general for these things is you pick whichever one you're going to use, right? You're going to get it. It's going to have the instructions in it. You're going to download their app. You're going to open up their app, and their app is going, well, you're going to plug this in where you want it, and then their app is going to go looking for that device. So it's going to switch your phone from your cell or your Wi-Fi connection that it's on, because it's going to create a one-to-one connection with the device. It's going to get all that handshaking going. It's going to identify it. It'll upload whatever, download whatever updates it needs. You're going to give it, probably a name so that you can call it something specific. I do recommend that you don't call it something obvious like living room light or whatever, because there are people out there who think it's funny to try to trigger people's devices. So I always name mine a little bit off so that I don't fall prey to those kinds of people. Just a side tip. So you're going to do that. The device is going to connect to the app. There's going to be some syncing, some handshaking, and then the app is going to connect the device to your Wi-Fi. And then from then on, you can just talk to your smart device and it will control it. You don't have to use the app. You always can. You can always go back into that app and control things and adjust things and change the name, whatever you want to do. My point is you don't have to. Once that connection is made and this device is on your Wi-Fi, you are good to go, which is big fun. And then you start running around and, oh, thank you, John. You're so good. I thought I changed that. Okay, well, let me fix that now. I guess I didn't save it. I changed it and I didn't save it, which I do sometimes. It was a late start for us. Mr. Murphy is chasing bunnies in the backyard, just as a side story, while I fix this. And so he is not as willing to come in when he is supposed to as he should be. And he's actually had a close encounter with the bunny, which is a whole other story. So, yes, thank you. Ace has always got my back. You know, it's good to have people out there that have your back. It makes life better. Okay, so now we should have the right topic. Woohoo! Yeah, he got a little bunny fur the other day. This bunny's not very smart, but that's okay. That's fine. Okay, thank you so much, Ace. I appreciate that. I'm sorry, you're John in this environment. My apologies. Okay, so let me reset. Okay, so there's that. So while we're on the topic of just the plugs, right? That's what we're starting with. This is the simplest way to do it. And like I said, we're talking lights, but you don't have to restrict yourself to lights with these, although lights are fun. And you can use any light with these, right? Or like I said, you can plug in your coffee maker or whatever it is you want. When you get to a point, like somebody I know, you're probably going to want to look maybe for a power strip option. Now, these are not quite as widespread as one might hope, but that's okay because there are some out there and that's all we need, right? We just need the ones that we need. Oh, I should show you. Good point. See, I had my stuff all lined up. So just to show you, so I'd shown you, oops, the Wyze plugs, right? Just for comparison, here's the Wemo plug. Looks very similar, right? The design is very similar. You can see I've purchased them. I've got lots of these in my house. And again, you can buy a single or multi and all that kind of stuff. And the price points are about the same. The next thing is what I have here, okay, which is, let's go back to this for a second here. This is a power strip. It also has the USB ports in addition to the regular plugs. And the way cool thing about this is you can control every single one of these individually, right? So, you know, with this, it's obviously a one-to-one. The early days of these, you got the multiple plugs, but everything was plugged in. So essentially it worked like the switch on one of these where you hit it and everything went down. They've gotten these really smart now, so you can actually assign a unique name to every plug and control it independently, or you can control them together, whatever you like. I haven't installed this yet, but I'm so looking forward to it. So let me show you this one. So this one is not from Wyze or Wemo, who tend to be the ones I work with. This is from a company called Kasa. Now, I have used other Kasa devices, so I have no problem recommending this. There it is. So, oops, this needs to go away. There we go. So you can get, you know, just a 3. Of course, I went for the larger one, which I think is down here. Or did I get a different tab for that? Nope. Well, see, I'm forecasting. You can get a 3. You can get the, maybe it's this one, the 6, which is a little more expensive. But to be honest, I'm going to use it here in the back because right now I have lots of individual plugs and it just seems so much smarter to be able to, you know, plug it into a strip like that and let it go that way. Because that's definitely big fun. So yeah, so it's another option. You know, you're plugging into one outlet, but you're getting the 6 out of it, and you have total control over all of it, each plug and the USB ports. And it works with, as I said, all of the smart devices, so you don't have to worry about the smart assistants, I should say. I should be more specific about that. So yeah, so you can go large or small depending on what you need, but get even more out of it. I love this stuff. It's such fun. Okay, so let's come back here for a second. Then the next thing is the conversation, which Kelly kind of started leading us into, which is great. Wow, people are chatting it up tonight. Okay, this is cool. I want to go back to Callie's comment if I can still find it. See, this is where having a team that pulls your questions for you would be so helpful. Callie and I do that a lot. Okay, so let me get this. Actually, you know what? I know what I need to do. So just so you know, this is another aside here, but I've been testing using Twitter in place of Periscope. Not that I was really doing Periscope all that much, but there's no good way to get comments from there, so I'm not doing that. Okay, so all right, so let's talk about what Callie was asking about before. So seems the way to go versus a bulb for sure. Okay, so that's what we talked. The title of this was bulb, plug, or switch. So these are a good way to go, but there are bulbs out there, and there are good use cases for the bulbs. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Particularly if you want color. Okay, so the plugs, as wonderful as they are, they're just going to turn it on and off. That's all they do. That's their job. If you do have a situation where you want color, you need color, you like color, whatever it is, then you will need to look at the bulb. So that's the differentiating point for me between the bulbs and the plugs. If you're just looking to turn it on and off, this is the way to go. This is simple, it's cheap, it's going to last a long time, so you'll be good to go. But if you do want to play with lights and all that kind of stuff, then you can go ahead and give the bulbs a try. Now you can see that they're a little bit more expensive than the plugs, and they're not going to last as long. I'm going to be right up front with you. Even the LED ones will die on us at some point. You can buy them single. You can buy different ones. Now they're fun. I'm not going to tell you any different. They are hands down fun. The important thing that a lot of people tend to miss with these colored bulbs is you can also just get white light out of them if you want, or you can get the spectrum of white light, right? If you like warmer or cooler. So while most of us get in and we immediately start playing with the colors, and it's fun, and I recommend trying it, but you're not limited to the funky colors. You can just have a regular light color if you wanted to. And you can switch back and forth as much as you want, and it would be totally fine. So from that standpoint, you've got a lot of flexibility from that for very little cost. And you'll be able to control it a lot with your voice. So I don't think Fred is here, but my nephew, I ordered some of these from Wise. Whoops. I haven't even taken them out of the bag yet. That's why I can't show you the box, because when I placed the order, I could only get 4, so I gave him 2 last night. So he took the box. So he went home immediately last night, plugged these in, and started playing with them with his voice assistant at home. And so he was doing that on his Twitch stream last night. So I mean, it just looks like a regular light bulb because it functions as a regular light bulb. It's got the regular, end on it. This is just for transportation. This is not something you actually need once you're going to use it. And so you screw it in to replace your bulb, and you're good to go. Now, this is a pro tip because this is something that a lot of people don't realize when they first go into using these things, and that is that you have to be careful, not just with the smart ones, but any LED bulbs that you're going to get. You want to be very careful about what you're getting, because most of them are specific to the type of device that you're putting them in. So basically the difference is open light, right? So where, the lampshade is open, or whatever covering it has is open, or enclosed. You don't want to put a bulb that is designed for an open fixture into a closed fixture. All I can tell you is it will be a problem. It will cause you issues. So don't do that. And it's something that a lot of people don't realize when they're going into this kind of world. And through no fault of your own. Like, if you haven't gone and you haven't read up on this kind of stuff, then there's no way you would know, right? So don't feel bad that you didn't know this, but do be aware that whether you're going for smart ones or just LEDs to replace your existing, make sure you're getting the right kind for the fixture you're using. And it will say on the box. You might have to read closely on the box to see it, or in the description on Amazon, but it is there. So make sure that you keep an eye on that. Does that make sense? I'm not even going to try to get that back in there, but I do want to put this down gently. Okay. All Alrighty, so let me just go back. Okay, so you're gonna have. I was gonna ask you this anyway, so this might as well do this now. Let me go back here. Okay, so Sammy's on board. He's into this. I'm surprised, Sammy, that you don't already have these. To be true, honest, because that's kind of seems like this would be your kind of thing already. So yes, I definitely if just start off with the on and off just to see how much you're going to use it, or in your case with your studio, you might want to try one of the lights because it's fun. But yeah, it is. They're fun to play with. And frankly, it's just fun to be able to control the lights with your voice. I won't kid you. I still giggle when I do it. It's still a lot of fun. Okay, so Callie, I have to ask because this was coming up a lot today in chat. You don't have to explain it now, but we can explain it in the other place. But what the hell? I'm usually up to date on these things. You've totally got me on that one. I have no idea. Yeah, so the power strips are, that for me is like a pretty big game changer, especially here in the studio. I think this is going to make my life much easier. It's also going to make it easier on my back because I don't know if you can really see, but I've got like tables behind me and they're pretty much all the way around the room. All the plugs, of course, are underneath it. When I do this, I can run the cord up and I can put this up on the table and I don't have to bend down and crawl under the tables anymore when I need to change things. So that's going to be all kinds of wonderful for my back. I'm very excited about that. One more time climbing under there and I'll be all good. Sammy kicks his power strips. You have my sympathies. Yes, I'm exactly the same way. I do that a lot too, which is why I try not to put them under the desk because I fidget a lot. And yeah, I've been known to kick things off. Definitely. Yes, for some reason at work, I do that a lot. So John says, oh, the blue is really vibrant for being multicolor. Yeah. I mean, so here, we can check this out again. So, these pictures, a lot of times you're like, oh, marketing photos there, but you can really get this level of color if you want. But like I said, you can also just get whatever shades of white you want. So it really is that flexible, which is fun, big fun. And it's not that bad. Okay, so Callie's on board with me. She was surprised too. So how do you control different ones when they're on the same power strip? So what you do in the app, so just like when you add one of these to your environment, like I said, you'll plug this in, you download the app, you'll connect the two. Usually you have to hold the button for a couple of seconds. There's usually a light that has to flash. I don't know where the light is. Oh, okay, the light is right, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, right above my fingernails. Little tiny pinhole light. And the only purpose for that is that it will flash when you're making the connection to the app and you're first setting it up, and it will also flash when you're doing updates because it's hardware, right? And there's software on this, and so there will be updates, which is why occasionally you won't be able to turn them on because they'll be in the middle of an update. But so when you do this, when you add it, you'll give it a name or a number or whatever you want that will uniquely identify it in your environment. And so you do the same thing with the power strip. When you set this up, you will give a name to every single connection point here. And you probably can't see it on the box, but there's actually buttons above each box, each plug as well. So each one will get an individual name. You can call them Joe, John, Jack, and do it that way. You can do by location. You can do by device type. Whatever works for you, you're going to give a unique name, and that's how you will control it. Now, what I'm curious about, I'm hoping that I'll also be able to give the whole strip a single name to do the whole thing at once. I'll let you know. I didn't get a chance to set that up. I wanted to beforehand, but we just didn't get there. But that's yeah. So what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to say, actually, I just figured out how to do that. Okay, hang on 1 second. I'll explain that. But yeah, you'll be able to identify, say, device that you prefer in your household, turn on whatever the name is. Okay, so like if you're going to be generic, you might say turn on living room light or turn on reading lamp or something like that. Again, keep in mind people like to have fun. So there's that to do. The other part of this, so I'm guessing that there'll probably be a way that you can just give a name to the whole strip and do it that way. The other thing that you can do is you can, using the different smart home devices, you can create, now depending on the device, the actual term will change, but you can create groups or routines or whatever they use for it. The point being, you can take different plugs, different devices, and you can wrapper them. You can create a list of them, you can give them a name, and then you can tell the smart assistant to do things all at once. So for example, in my living room right now, I have 3. I started out with 1. I have no, I'm sorry, 4. I have 4, plus I have 1 in the kitchen. So when it gets dark, I give a command to say, I'll just, for the sake of this, turn on favorite lights. Okay, so what that would mean is that I've got a group called favorite lights, and all 4 or all 5 of those plugs are listed underneath it. And when we go to sleep at night, as we're going up the stairs, I say, device, turn off that, and it turns off all those things for me. So even if the smart app, even if the app for the smart power strip doesn't give me a way to control it all at once, I could do it that way. So there's always a way, if you think about it. The other cool thing with all this stuff, and I'm not done yet, but the other cool thing with all this stuff is the fact that most of them work with if this then that. So if you don't know what this is, it's fine. It's not, you don't need to know this in order to use this stuff, but if you are into that particular service, there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do there too. So that's fun. Okay. I was searching because it was that person that I wasn't sure, like, was that, bad or not? It means bunnies. Okay, well, now I've got another term for the bunnies in my backyard. Thank you. That will probably come in very handy. Okay, so now I've got Callie wanting some. So links are in my descriptions if you want, because now Callie says she wants, and Sammy says he wants. You had one a while ago and it didn't work. Yeah, so again, I'm an early adapter for a lot of this stuff. So the first generation stuff was a little wonky. I won't kid you. I did end up installing a couple in my parents' house, but I did not do it with the first generation. I waited until the second generation before we went there, because the trick with my folks was, if I was going to do this, there was going to be discussion, and then it had damn well better work. So yes, it is definitely at the point now where I do not hesitate to recommend it to anybody and everybody, because it really does work. It's all kinds of cool. Sammy says, question with the smart home power strip. Can I plug my Sony and my computer into the strip or no? So yeah, you could. I don't know that I would. So, actually, I just realized I'm going to need another power strip, because right now I have my studio lights, my monitors, the mic, my speakers, probably some other things on a regular power strip that goes into a plug like this, because I didn't have the smart one. But now I'm realizing I'm going to need 2, because I'm going to need one back there and one to replace that hacked solution. I don't have the computer plugged in. You could. Actually, I will say I did decide. I take that back. I did in the beginning. I didn't have the Sony. So we're talking about the Sony A6100 that we use for streaming. In the beginning, I didn't have the Sony connected to it, and then I was lazy, so I did plug it in, and it's been fine. I don't have the computer plugged in that way. The computer, I do a normal shutdown, a normal start, pressing the button. It's probably fine, but with the money I spent on this Alienware, I wasn't taking any chances. So yeah, if I had, if it was my Chromebook, I probably wouldn't worry about it, because my Chromebook's near end of life anyway. But I would just be a little careful with my computer, because they are more sensitive than a lot of other devices. So there's that. So it's up to you, whatever feels right for you. You go and do that. Okay, so we've talked about the plugs, we've talked about the bulbs, and somewhere out there, and we talked about the power strips. So somewhere out there, I'm hearing somebody go, but what about my hi-hats? What about my overhead recessed lighting? We gotcha. So again, if you, and I have one here, if you are just looking to turn it on and off, you do not have to go and put a special light bulb in every single one of your overheads. You can get a plug, or I'm sorry, you can get an outlet switch. So the switch that you're currently using to turn your overhead lighting on could be replaced with one of these. It is still functional as a mechanical switch. So, we're all hardwired at this point, right? You walk in a room, you turn on the light switch, you walk out, you turn it off. That's going to be a hard habit to break, and you can still do that with this. The thing with this is, if you turn it off, I haven't tried it yet. Some of them, if you turn it off with the mechanical switch, it will stop working as the smart switch. Some of them, it's okay, it'll still go ahead and work. So you will want to do a little homework on that. But as I said, you don't, like, if you've got, I know some people, like, I think my brother-in-law, in one room, he's got like 25, 30. I mean, it's a big space, but still. So you don't have to get a unique special bulb for every single one of those if your goal is just to turn it on and off. Now, like I talked about with the bulbs, you do need to check when you're getting this because not all of them will work for dimmers. So if you like the dimmer feature, then you're going to want to make sure that you get one that does the dimmer. And of course, you know, they're there. You just have to be very careful about what you're looking at. So let me bring this up. So this is the one that I've got in my hand here. This is just a rocker switch replacement. It's just on and off. And again, you can use your voice, you can use the app, all that kind of cool stuff. And by the way, there's an extra benefit to all this. Like all this stuff here, everybody's picturing right now doing it in the house. There's an extra benefit to all this. So you've got this, but this won't work for dimmer situations. But they do have, and I think I have one. Yeah, so they do have ones that do the dimmer as well. In this particular case, it does work with HomeKit. If it says HomeKit, it also means it'll work with the Apple Lady. So you've got that. So you do have that, and that's another way to go. That said, if, however, you want to enjoy the fun that is colored lights in your hi-hats, I should also just point out real quick, if you do want to, if you have a three-way wall switch, you can also replace those too. So you just need to make sure you're getting the right switch for the situation that you're in. But if you have overhead lighting and you do want color and you are willing to put a bulb in, you don't have to put a bulb in every single one. You could put it in every other one, depending on what it is you're looking to do. But the good news is, of course, that option exists too. Now, I don't have the link. I will add this link in there because I was looking. So the ones that I have are these. It looks like this brand is not available anymore, but as you can see, there are many, many options. And again, you can get just the white or you can get the colored ones. You know, frankly, if you're going to do this, I would suggest getting the colored ones because you can get the white out of it. The warm, the cool, the mid, all of those. So it is absolutely an option for this. And you can just go through and read the description. Now, obviously, these are not for that size hi-hat. There are also the smaller ones, like if you have like the smaller overhead, or there are some lighting fixtures like in kitchens that use a smaller version. Those all exist too. So just go through, you know, read the directions. Like I said, the model that I use is not here, and when I did a quick search, I couldn't find it. So I think maybe they've stopped doing it or gone out of business, or maybe they changed their name and I didn't get the memo. I don't know. But the point is, just like with, you know, your more standard lighting situations, you have the same basic options when it comes to the overhead lighting. So you can go with a switch if you're just looking for on, off, or, you know, dimmer, whatever your situation is. You can just get white ones that are just bulbs that you can control with an app. That works too. Or you can get the color ones. So it's all good. It's fun. Let's see. So yeah, it's, you know, you have all of the options that you could possibly want. And they're fun, right? Callie, is the woe for the overhead lights? Are we going to see overhead lights in your streams that are colored soon? And you can change colors. You can set them up. Some of them will cycle through colors for you. Like, there's all kinds of variety. Oh, sorry. Somebody's driving by. He thinks it's my nephew. Do the apps have dimmers? It's not. It's not Fred. It's not Fred. No, I know. Fred was here last night or the night before, and so he now, for the next 3 days, every time he hears a car that sounds like Fred's, he's going to think it's Fred. It's not, baby. It's not Fred. It's okay. Okay, so do the apps have dimmers? If hey, are you going to get up here and do this? I'd be happy if you went up here and did this. All right, it's not Fred. Am I going to have to prove that to you? It's not. It's not. He's probably at work. Anyway, sorry. Dog interrupting. So if the device, right, so if the bulb that you get or the plug that you get is dimmer, then yes, the app will have it, which means then you can also control that with your voice. So if you have a dimmer situation, let's say you have a dimmer switch, you could say to your smart device, or you could pick up your phone and do it, you know, but you could say to your smart device, set light name to 30%, and it would do that. Just like you can say set light X to fuchsia or purple or blue or red or rose or whatever the key phrases are for that. So yeah, so it does depend on the switch or the bulb that you're getting, what the capabilities will be. But that kind of makes sense, right? So you've got all of that. Now, let's see, have I covered all of, so we've talked about that. I'm just running through my list here. Because there's so much cool stuff. So this is what I recommend everybody starts with, because it's easy, it's fun, it's practical. So from a practical standpoint, yes, obviously this is fun, right? I don't think I have to explain the fun part of this, but I will if you'd like me to. But it is, from a practical standpoint, it's handy. So I started off my home automation thing really was more with the webcams with the puppy, because I wanted to watch the puppy when I was in the office. And so that was my entry into all of this kind of stuff, which was a little bit more complicated at the point I did it, because it was early times, much easier now. The light thing I really didn't get into until I realized that it was really a hassle to scoop up the puppy. So when you have a puppy, you have to take them out a lot. So in the middle of the night, several times I'd scoop up the puppy, go running out the back door to get them out there. So with my first dog, Bailey, it was a little hairy sometimes, because I was basically doing it in the dark, because you don't want to wait, right? When the puppy is ready to go, you have seconds to get them out the door. So when it came to Mr. Murphy, I was like, this is dumb. Well, there's got to be a better way. And so that's when I started using these, because as I was scooping him up and coming down, I was telling the smart assistant to turn the lights on for our path out the door, so that I could get us safely out the door without killing us. So that was the first ones that I started to use. And then, of course, like potato chips or kittens, you can't just have one. And so you start using them for all the things. So it is highly practical. It's also practical if you have a temporary or permanent physical disability or restriction, right? So let's just say, somebody had surgery and they're hurting and they don't feel like getting up to turn on or off the light. You wouldn't have to, because you could say from wherever your comfy spot was to turn it on or off. Just like you don't actually need a plug like this for your TVs per se. If you have either the Fire or the Google Chromecast, or Chromecast with Google TV, because those will also, when you connect them to their system, you can actually voice activate those from either device as well. You can turn on your TV, you can turn off the TV, even if you're not using their entertainment services. You can just use it to turn your TV on and off. So there is that. Okay, so it looks like we have made a believer in Sammy. Okay, so that does make sense. Cool. Thank you. I am glad. Sammy, you're giving away the big close here. So yes, we'll get into that in a second. So, there is a practical standpoint. When my dad started to have mobility problems, that was the big sell for getting him to A, accept the Madam A device, and B, let me plug these in, because as he was going from room to room, he didn't have to deal with darkness. It's also handy, like, if you're getting, you're coming in and you're bringing in groceries or whatever, being able to turn everything on quickly. But yeah, especially for the puppy. For the puppy, I recommend it to everybody. Now, obviously, you don't have to stop there, right? There's a world of other devices out there, and they are expanding all the time, right? So this is one I'm going to set up. This is a Wyze video doorbell. It's sort of along the line of the Ring doorbell, but I think this was 25 or 30 bucks. So that's why I love the Wyze people. They make this stuff fun to play with and much cheaper to deal. So once you get started with this, there's really practically no limitations right now. You can go to town with this stuff. But if you start with the plugs or the bulbs, it's a good entry into it. It's a good way to see whether or not this is going to be useful for you. So I think that's okay. So we can wrap up and get to the extra special benefit here. One of the other things that you can do with a lot of them, now this is outside of using it with the smart assistants, but a lot of them with the apps, you can set other automation into it, right? So like I have one on my front door. Yes, I got a colored one for a reason, okay? It wasn't just for fun. I got it so that at the holidays I could be festive. And because it's fun. But the other nice thing about that particular one, that is the Kasa. And that one I can program to go on and off at certain times. So you can set it to go on and off at some of them have a sensor on it, so you can set them to go on and off at dawn and dusk. Other ones you can set to go on and off at a special time, so you don't even have to remember to turn it on or to trigger it with your voice or whatever, because it's just taking care of it for me all the time. Kind of freaking magic. The other thing, okay, so here we go. Sammy gave away the end. Not only can you use these things with your smart assistants when you're home, you can do it from anywhere. So, point in case, when I was going into the office, on my drive home, especially in the winter, I would tell my phone to turn on the lights at home, so that when I got home, the lights were all on. Now, obviously, I left a light on for Murphy in his room, but the rest of the lights would all be on when I got to the house, which was very nice. Or if I was away, right, but I didn't want the house to look like I was away, I could turn the lights on and off from here. I also turned on the TV from here. Just, yeah, you can do it from the apps, or I just told it. I just told, this is an Android phone, so I told Google to take care of it, and it did. So Sammy nailed it. You can turn it on from other places. Now, I will give you a little bit of a, I guess we'll call this another tip, okay? So I mentioned I did this for my parents, right? So that meant I didn't realize I set it up on their devices, okay? So I really went about this in what I thought was a logical manner. I took, one of their devices, I loaded the app, I got it set up. Evidently, because I was also using the Wemos, my Wemo app also picked up the fact that I was in an environment, because my phone is on their Wi-Fi then, right? So anyway, inadvertently, I ended up with control of their plugs from my phone. I did not know that going into it, because I had set them up on their device. I thought we were good to go. And sure enough, that's right. You got it now, Lyle. You nailed it. So here I am. I set them up. We got it all set. We had a lovely weekend, right? We all played with the devices. It was great fun. And then, I came home and I'm doing my thing, and I do my usual turning on of, lights and stuff, and then turning them off when I go to bed. And I talked to my parents a couple days later, and they're like, there's something wrong, with the plug. You're going to have to come back, and you're going to have to look at it. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me what's happening. And as they're starting to explain to me, my brain went, you're turning their lights on and off. Like, they didn't even finish the sentence, and my brain connected the dots. I was like, oh, geez. So, sure enough, that's what it was. Their lights. Their lights were going on and off magically without them doing anything, which was freaking them out. So I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't think it through that my app would automatically pick up on, because it's the same company. So all I had to do was go into my app and turn it off. That's also when I started changing the names of all my stuff. My stuff is named so uniquely that, like, even if I went and did this for somebody else again, this wouldn't happen. But oh my God, it cracked me up. It was exactly that. Inadvertently, I mean, it would have been great, like, if I planned this out and I did it on purpose, but it was just, unexpected side effect of the fact that I was using the same plugs that I had them set up. Of course, I was going to set them up with the ones I tested, right? But oh my God, it was so funny, and we all had a good laugh. And that became a running joke, anytime anything weird happened or they couldn't find their keys, it was one of my smart assistant, solutions that was messing with their lives again. So yeah, you try to do a good deed, and what happens? It's just the way it all goes. Okay, so let me just go through here. Oh my God, it was so funny. Oh, especially because it didn't. I'm going to bed. I'm patting myself on the back. I did a good deed. I'm the good daughter. The whole thing, and oblivious to what's going on until I had the conversation. And before they finished it, my brain put the pieces together. I was like, "Ay, jeez." I was afraid they were going to make me take it all out, but they were cool with it. They had a good laugh. So yeah, there was that. Okay, so yeah, it sounds like Sammy's. I want to hear what you go with, Sammy, which brand and all that kind of stuff, and how you end up using it. But yeah, it was funny. It's a good fun. It's a funny story to tell. So you just never know. So yeah, so there's lots of stuff. There's lots of ways to use it. Like I said, just to recap, yes, you can actually control them from the apps that come with it. That's totally fine. You can voice control it with your different devices. You can group them with your devices so that you can take a bunch of them and do one thing with them all at once. So like you can turn on all the lights in the living room by grouping them, even if the app or the device itself does not handle that. So there's ways to do that. You can use it with if then if this, then that. And that's another good way to get additional functionality out of it. Really, you can be really creative with this stuff. It's really just a matter of, gee, I wonder if, and give it a try and see what happens, because the odds are pretty good that it will. So that is everything, unless you have any questions. I think I've covered them, just checking my list. So yeah, so that most of them at this point will work with everything. Don't bother with a hub. So you can use Madame A, you can use the Google, you can use the Apple voice control. Just don't want to be triggering them off for you folks. And you can remote controls from wherever you are. Some of the apps you have to like turn that on, but once you've got it, it is good to go. All right, and then you can expand into all the other stuff. And yes, you can blame me. It's fine. I blame me too, but it's fun. And hey, you get pretty colored lights. Okay, so I think we are good. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out. I do appreciate having you guys here live, but it's also cool if you want to watch the replay. If you want to know when I'm going live, you can do that thing there. If you have any questions, comments, if you need more advice about this kind of thing, feel free to reach out. You go to yourtechcoach.net. There's a contact form there. Let me know what your question is, or if you have just another topic you want me to cover on the show, I'm happy to do that. The only favor I ask is if you need a fast answer, let me know that in the text, and let me know how to get back in touch with you, because I had somebody reach out a couple weeks ago. Really important question. No way to get back in touch with them. So yeah. That happens. So if you need a fast answer, just make sure you give me that information, and I'm happy to reach out to you. Okay? And yes, okay, John's never going to let me forget this one, right? Be careful when you go to friends' houses and set these things up. Or do it on purpose if you want to have fun. And actually, I thought I saw John say that he was going to set this up for his mom. Here we go. Now, I'm hoping you're going to use your power for good, right, John? You're going to set it up for your mom and stepdad for their convenience, not to do what I did, but at least I did it inadvertently. So I'm counting on you to use your powers for good. All right, everybody. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you're watching this on the replay, you can throw it into the comments. And if you want the links, they're in the description. So I got you covered. All right? Of course. Yeah, he says of course. Okay, wait. I'm going to put this up on stream so we have proof that he said, of course, he's going to use his powers for good. I hope so, but I wouldn't place any big bets on it because the temptation is there, right? Maybe more for you might do it more to your brother, right? Anyway, I'm not planting ideas. No, not doing that. All right, everybody, go. Get yourself a plug to play with. Let me know how it goes. I like to hear how people use these things. Proof. I have proof. That's right. Always got to cover it, right? All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We will talk again soon. I'm here every Thursday. Should I mention that? I'm here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, in all the places. But if you can't be here, if you can't join the party live, that's okay. You can always go ahead and watch the replay. And I do go back and check the comments. So feel free, if you have questions or whatever, go right ahead. Okay? Thanks so much, everybody. We will talk again soon. Bye. Have fun with your plugs. Have fun storming the castle.